Welcome one, welcome all. I am Mark Paulda, a professional photographer. I have been in the photography business for well over 20 years. I want to help you succeed so you can earn money with your camera. With every episode, I will offer you sound advice so you can be part of the 15% of aspiring photographers who succeed. If you are looking for help to turn your passion for photography into a successful business, you have come to the right place. I have got the answers. My weekly episodes will help you understand how to market yourself, how to build a profitable business, and best business practices. No more feeling lost. You do not have to go it alone. Join my audio podcast and start taking my advice on turning your hobby into a profitable business. You will get access to a professional photographer and the best practices that I have learned and experienced over the years. If you have questions along the way, definitely email me. mark@markpaulda.com. You are also invited to join my photography success text community. Send me a text. 915-226-0959. If you are outside the United States, be sure to include +1, the United States country code. Let's get started. Can I make money from my photography? The short answer is yes. If you've got a good eye for photography. There are designers, advertisers, marketers, newspapers, magazines, journalists, startups, global companies, and even individuals who might want to use your images. But how? There are lots of ways to make money from your photography: image licensing via stock agencies, selling canvas prints, commissioned shoots, or selling via your own shop. If you do like one central platform to earn money selling your photographs via image licensing, selling canvas prints, commissioned shoots, or selling through your own online shop, perhaps a platform like Pickfair would be ideal for you. More on Pickfair later in this post. Stock images are traditionally professional photos of places, landmarks, nature, objects, people, or events that are taken for the purpose of being used multiple times for different projects. Photographers usually keep ownership of the images and make them available for licensing, whereby they are paid for a specific usage. What is image licensing? When you use a stock agency, you are not selling your images outright. You are making them available to license. Every time someone licenses your image, they are paying to use it according to a license agreement. License agreements differ between agencies, but as an example, some license agreements allow a buyer to use your image for just one project per license purchased. Making your images available for licensing means you can make money from the same images multiple times, in multiple places, from multiple buyers. Many services are non-exclusive, meaning you can maximize your earning potential and offer your images to a variety of different stock agencies. What do photo buyers want? Authenticity. Buyers want images that feel real. If the image includes people, it is better that they look natural rather than posed or staged. Uniqueness. Images that they've never seen before. For example, there will always be a demand for images that represent love, but if you can represent it in a unique way, it will be much more attractive to prospective buyers. This is one reason developing your own unique photographic style is so important. Diversity. Images that accurately display our culturally diverse modern world. How can you help buyers to celebrate diversity honestly and accurately with your photography? Copy space. Often, a designer will want to overlay some text or their logo on your image. Consider this when framing your shots. Leaving enough clean space for copy could help your images sell more. Be inspired. Almost any image could make you money. You never know how unusual an image buyer's brief could be. However, there are certain things you can keep in mind to maximize your sales. Stay up to date. What topics are trending culturally, socially, and politically? If the World Cup is approaching, authentic football images will likely be in demand. Big story about climate change coming up? Then it is time to upload any images you have that could represent it. A good inspirational tip is to take a look at Google Trends, which gives you insights into topics that are trending on Google right now and how they change over time. Keep an eye on the calendar. Images of major national and global holidays are always in demand. But by using something like National Day calendar, you can be inspired and prepare images for things like Earth Day, Pride Week, or National Dance Like a Chicken Day. Look for change images celebrating diversity and documenting social changes are in high demand. Are things changing where you live? Think about how you can illustrate that change with your photography. Travel. Travel photography is extremely fun. Why not make it profitable too? There are already millions of images of popular landmarks, so try to find unique angles or viewpoints. Try to illustrate what life is like for the locals. Look for the things that most tourists on TC. What are the local foods and traditions? Be as specific as possible and try to leave your destination with images that nobody else could have taken. Take photos that sell. Framing your images. Use the rule of thirds. This is one of the golden rules of photography. Use it to produce more aesthetically pleasing, balanced images. The key point is to avoid placing your subject directly in the middle of your photograph. Imagine every image is dissected into a 3x3 grid. Important compositional elements should not be centered, but placed along the vertical or horizontal lines or their intersections. Most modern cameras have a feature which will overlay a 3x3 grid on your viewfinder to assist. Avoid camera shake. If you don't have a tripod, try resting your camera on a stable object like a table, fence or bollard. Images need to be crisp and focused to maximize their commercial value, though out of focus images do have a market if done correctly. Think about the background. The background can be the difference between an average shot and a fantastic shot. Make sure it contrasts enough with your subject, that it is not too busy or noisy, and that is aesthetically pleasing to complement the shot as a whole. Learn to use the exposure triangle. Shooting on auto is a good way to start, but learning how to use manual settings gives you ultimate creative control. And it's not as hard as it looks. There are 3 settings that make up the exposure triangle. Aperture. Aperture is the measure of how wide the iris of the camera lens is open. Narrow apertures, higher f numbers, give a greater depth of field and are good for landscapes and keeping the whole image focused. Wide apertures, lower f numbers, create a narrow depth of field, which isolates the subject and can create a blurry background effect called bokeh. Shutter speed refers to how long the shutter will stay open and thus how much light the lens lets in. Higher shutter speeds are required for moving subjects, though lower shutter speeds allow for more detail in a shot. In general, you want to use a shutter speed that will ensure your subject is clear. For fast subjects like birds, this may be 1/1200, for kids it may be 1/200. ISO. Increasing the ISO allows you to work with less light, however, the higher the ISO, the more grainy your image will turn out to be. Always aim to have the lowest ISO possible that still gives you a good-looking shot. Why would you use a high ISO? Working with lower light, you may find yourself using the widest possible aperture and slowest possible shutter speed available for the shot. At this point, your only option is to increase the ISO. Better to have a slightly grainy image that can be improved in post-production, than an unusable blurry one. A word about model releases. To make your images available for commercial licensing, you need model releases from any recognizable people. If you don't have model releases, you can still make any images you have with recognizable people available for editorial licensing, though. Editing. Cropping. You should try to avoid cropping unless you need to. Take time when shooting to concentrate on the composition of your image in camera, getting it right first time, and it will avoid unnecessary fiddling around later. But if you need to, well, you need to. Cut the clutter out. It needs to be as clear and as clean as possible. Make your images as uncluttered as possible. If you have a stray foot or a stray arm sticking to the left of the frame, that should be cropped out. Anything which isn't essential to telling the story needs to go. Where there are figures in the frame, animal or human, try to keep them complete. Cropping figures can lead to awkward positioning and could potentially even ruin your photo. So, avoid it at all costs. No one likes to see feet chopped off human beings. Stick to the established aspect ratio. DSLR cameras, like their film ancestors, have a default aspect ratio of 3:2. Keep your cropped image within that, if possible. Image buyers want to be able to do their own cropping when designing their products if possible, so give them as much room to play with to let them craft their own story. Post-processing. Professionals shoot in RAW and process their images after for the best results. There are lots of free resources online for learning to use editing programs, and it is definitely a worthwhile time investment. Metadata. If you are processing your photos in an editing program, it is worth keywording your images in the program via the metadata settings. This will embed the keywords, titles and captions as IPTC metadata, and anytime you upload your images to a site like Picfair, Getty Images, Alamy and the like, the data will be read automatically. This can save you a lot of time if you intend to make your images available through multiple agencies. Keywording. Keywords, or tags, are incredibly important. Good keywording is the only way to ensure your images can be found. Here are some keywording tips for images. Put yourself in an image buyer's shoes. One of the simplest ways to get your head around how to keyword your image is put yourself in the shoes of an image researcher or picture buyer. For example, if you were looking for images to illustrate a travel feature on Morocco, what keywords would you use to find a suitable image? Base your keywords on the following. Place. It is a must to keyword a location-specific image with that particular area, city, region, and country. Ask yourself also, does the image show a noteworthy street, famous landmark or building? Noteworthy features of the scene. Does the picture depict any traditional ways of life or typical scenes, or something unusual or alternative? Does the image include a person, multiple people, a crowd, or show anything noteworthy taking place? Include this in your keywording. Formal elements. Does the image feature any patterns, architectural highlights, designs, or obvious formal elements? Or are there any particularly dominant colors in the scene? These should be tagged and included in the keywords. Concept keywords. As important as highlighting any visible features in the photo, other keywords describing relevant, but unseen elements of the picture can be paramount to the image buyer. Copy space. Often buyers are looking for images where there is a clean area to place copy. This is often in the form of the sky or large blocks of a single color in an image. The keywords and tags used across the board are copy space, or copy space, include both. Include Latin names for flora/fauna when a buyer is looking for an extremely specific species. The Latin name is extremely important as it is used as a global standard. Include seasons and weather conditions. Many image buyers work on features and campaigns based on particular seasons, and if this is particularly obvious in your photo, make sure that it is keyworded as such. Describe people. Make sure you are as specific as possible when it comes to keywording an image of a person. Keywords describing gender, race, age, and appearance, profession and actions are all of importance and are used regularly by buyers. Variant spellings. For common words that appear in image keywords such as harbor/harbor, and center/center. Include both the US and UK spellings. Just remember, the more specific keywords you can include, the better. The information I've shared with you today will help get you started to earn money from your photography. When you remember that photography is indeed a business, the road to success doesn't take less time, but it does make life easier. Earlier, I mentioned Picfair. I received no compensation whatsoever for recommending Picfair. I simply find the platform an ideal way to offer both photographic prints and commercial licensing. Ideally, you want to offer your images to anyone and any company, and Picfair easily allows both options. Picfair's image licensing marketplace operates a little differently to most agencies. On average, stock agencies take a 74% cut from the photographer. Picfair's commission is only 20%. Picfair also allows all photographers to choose their own prices for their work, unlike most agencies who set prices themselves. There are far more ways to earn money with your photography than just stock photography licensing and selling prints. Sign up for Mark Paulda Mentors email list to keep up to date when new How to Make Money with Photography blog posts are available. A genuine thank you for joining me today for this episode. If you are serious about success in the photography business, then I am serious and ready to help. Visit markpaulda.mentor.com and discover a variety of ways I can help you in your journey. If you have questions along the way, definitely email me. mark@markpaulda.com. You are also invited to join my photography success text community. Send me a text. 915-226-0959. If you are outside the United States, be sure to include +1, the United States country code. I will catch you in the next episode.